Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 90, text number 48. Jayati Jana Nivaso Devaki Janmavado Yuruvara Parishat Swara Dorbhir Asyanda Dharmam Stirachara Vijina Na Susmita Shri Mukena Rajapura Vanitanam Vardayan Kamadevam. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna is he who is known as Jananivasa, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as Devaki Nandana or Yashoda Nandana, the son of Devaki and Yashoda. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms, he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence, he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vrindavan. May he be all glorious and happy. Purport by the servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The translation and word meanings for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1379. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Shukadeva Goswami has composed this beautiful verse to console those who lament the fact that Lord Krishna did not continue to manifest his intimate pastimes down to the present time. Here Sri Shukadeva reminds his listeners that the Lord is eternally present in this world, in his holy abode, his name, and the recitation of his glories. This idea is expressed by the word Jayati, he is victorious, which is in the present tense rather than the past. Srila Prabhupada explains this verse as follows in Krishna. Quote, Srila Shukadeva Goswami thus concludes his description of the super exalted position of Lord Krishna by glorifying him in the following way. O Lord Krishna, all glories unto you. You are present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Therefore you are known as Jananivasa, one who lives in everyone's heart. As confirmed in the Bhagavad-gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Junachishtati. The Supreme Lord in his Paramatma feature lives in everyone's heart. This does not mean, however, that Krishna has no separate existence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosophers accept the all-pervading feature of Parabrahman, but when Parabrahman, the Supreme Lord, appears, they think that he appears under the control of material nature. Because Lord Krishna appeared as the son of Devaki, the Mayavadi philosophers accept Krishna to be an ordinary living entity who takes birth within this material world. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami warns them, Devaki Janmavada, which means that although Krishna is famous as the son of Devaki, actually he is the Supersoul, or the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees, however, take this word, Devaki Janmavada, in a different way. The devotees understand that actually Krishna was the son of Mother Yashoda. Although Krishna first of all appeared as the son of Devaki, he immediately transferred himself to the lap of Mother Yashoda, and his childhood pastimes were blissfully enjoyed by Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. This fact was also admitted by Vasudeva himself when he met Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda at Kurukshetra. He admitted that Krishna and Balaram were actually the sons of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva and Devaki were only their official father and mother. Shukadeva Goswami then glorifies the Lord as one who is honored by the Yaduvara Parishat, the assembly house of the Yadu dynasty, and as the killer of different kinds of demons. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could have killed all the demons by employing his different material energies, but he wanted to kill them personally in order to give them salvation. There was no need of Krishna's coming to this material world to kill the demons. Simply by his willing, many hundreds and thousands of demons could have been killed without his personal endeavor. But actually he descended for his pure devotees to play as a child with Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and to give pleasure to the inhabitants of Dwarka. By killing the demons and by giving protection to the devotees, Lord Krishna established the real religious principle, which is simply love of God. By following the factual religious principles of love of God, even the living entities known as Tirachara were also delivered from all material contamination and were transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Stira means the trees and plants, which cannot move, and Chara means the moving animals, specifically the cows. When Krishna was present, he delivered all the trees, monkeys, and other plants and animals who happened to see him and serve him both in Vrindavan and Dwarka. Lord Krishna is especially glorified for his having given pleasure to the gopis and the queens of Dwarka. Shukadeva Goswami glorifies Lord Krishna for his enchanting smile, by which he enchanted not only the gopis of Vrindavan, but also the queens at Dwarka. The exact words used in this connection are Vardhayan Kamadevam. In Vrindavan as the boyfriend of many gopis, and in Dwarka as the husband of many queens, Krishna increased their lusty desires to enjoy with him. For God realization or self-realization, one generally has to undergo severe austerities and penances for many, many thousands of years. And then it may be possible to realize God. But the gopis and the queens of Dwarka, simply by enhancing their lusty desires to enjoy Krishna as their boyfriend or husband, receive the highest type of salvation. Unquote. In this way, Srila Prabhupada wonderfully illuminates the meaning of this verse by Shukadeva Goswami, which summarizes Lord Krishna's pastimes. So this beautiful verse, written by Shukadeva Goswami to give solace to the devotees, is about the personality of the Lord and his beautiful smile. And in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, Manmana bhava mat bhakto, just think of me. And the devotee in the Shri Ishopanishad says, my Lord, please remove the covering of your effulgence so I can see your beautiful face. And this is the impetus of the devotees to meditate on the beautiful personal form of the Lord. And in the very beginning of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami writes in the first verse, Akila Rasamrita Murti Prasmrimara Ruchi Rudha Tarakapali Kalita Shama Lalito Radha Priyan Vidura Jayati. Everyone say Vidura Jayati. So the translation, Krishna, the destroyer of all sin and the bestower of all bliss, the very form of the highest bliss, filled with all rasas, excels all others in glory. He brings Taraka and Palika under his control by the diffusion of his beauty. He accepts Shamala and Lalita as his equals and gives pleasure to Radha by his excellent qualities. So, in the commentary to this first verse, Jiva Goswami gives importance to the word Vidhu, as you repeated, Vidura Jayati. So the word Vidhu he expands upon by giving various verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam to emphasize the importance of the beautiful form of Krishna. He says that this form is the reservoir of all pleasures, and that eternal form, the form is eternal, and it's glorified throughout the Shastra. He also points out that whatever forms we see in this world that we consider beautiful are merely reflections of the original form of the Lord. Our eyes are attracted to form in this world, But they're soon disappointed because the forms of this world are not substantial, whereas the form of Krishna is all attractive, and that's why his name is Krishna, because he's all attractive for all time. And the word vidhu, in relationship to the supreme form of Krishna, has several meanings, according to Jiva Goswami. The first is one who excels in all qualities. So we're attracted to the qualities of various people in this world, but Krishna is the source of all those qualities. Therefore, he's called Vidhu. What is he called? And also, Vidhu refers to Vidhunoti. Say Vidhunoti. And that means he defeats. It means the person who transcends all suffering, or the person who transcends all other things. And it also means one who takes away the suffering of others. As in the verse, Vidhunoti suritsatam. He's the surit, which means the best friend within our heart, and he assists us in removing those troublesome anarthas that keep us from our original state of pure bliss, which is sustained by being in constant contact with Krishna by meditating on his personal form. And Vidhu also means vididhati, everyone say, which means he produces, the person who produces all happiness, or the person who causes everything. So all happiness comes from Krishna. This is not known well in the material world. Everyone's looking for happiness here, there, and everywhere. In fact, people sing about it all the time. And there was a famous song in which the lyrics were, looking for love in all the wrong places. And this is the folly of those in the material world. They're searching for love and satisfaction by interacting with various fallible beings. But only by interacting with Krishna, who produces all happiness, can we become happy. When I first joined the temple in San Francisco, and I went out to Market and Powell to distribute reservoirs of pleasure, it stuck in my mind that one day I approached this young couple, and I showed the guy a reservoir of pleasure. It has a beautiful picture of Krishna in his form on the front. And then he pointed to his girlfriend. He said, I already have my reservoir of pleasure. And I was just thinking, that's not right. And I was correct. So, Vidhu means Krishna, who's famous for the ability to liberate even demons, and thus ending their suffering. So this is one reason that Krishna is so famous, is because even demons become liberated by him. Even the worst of demons, the child molester who approached him when he was just a baby, came into the home of Krishna, and she disguised herself, Putana, as a beautiful nursemaid, and especially the men were enamored. So they got giddy, and the women, they just thought, because it's a village atmosphere, this is another one of the Matajis, and so they let her into the room with Krishna. Her intention was to kill him, but he killed her. And when he did, he liberated her and gave her the highest kind of benediction. She attained a relationship with him in the spiritual world. So there are hundreds of examples of this, the way in which Krishna kills demons and gives them liberation by killing them. And Vidhu also means surpassing all others by his power. The Sri Upanishad, Anejadikam manaso javiyo naina devapnuvam purvanarshad tadavaton teti dishtat tasminapo matarishva dadati. This indicates that he surpasses all in excellence. Even the great devas cannot approach him. And one can run after him as quickly as possible. One can never catch him because his powers surpass all others. Vidhu also means bestowing happiness up to the highest level of prema. Krishna can award this prema, and this is the only ultimate abode of happiness for every living entity. As mentioned, by the demigods who were praying to Lord Krishna within the womb. Yene ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayastabhavad avashudha budaya arya krishrena parampadam tata patantyato nadrita yushmarangraya. People have various goals in life, and they may even attain those goals by krishrena, hard work. But if they don't include awakening one's pure love for the personality of Godhead Krishna, then that living entity will fall down from that imagined point of perfection or liberation. So Krishna is the one who awards prema. And it also means, vidu, that he is Swayam Bhagavan, or the original cause of everything. Someone quote a verse? Okay, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakchirananda Vigraha Anadiradya Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam indicates by Brahma in the Brahma Samhita that Krishna is the original cause of everything. And finally, Jayati, Vidu Jayati, means he excels all others. He exists with the most excellent qualities. So this is what we're really looking for. Krishna has everything that we're looking for, especially Krishna's form. So let's look at some evidence from the Shastra as given by Jiva Goswami. First of all, in the first canto, 9th chapter, 39th verse, we hear about how Krishna destroys all suffering. You all don't like to suffer, right? So you'd be interested in hearing this verse? Say yes. Vijayarata kutumba atatotre dritta hoya rushnini touch triya yekshaniye bhagavati ratir astu me mumurshor yam iha niriksha hata gata swarupam. At the moment of death, Bhishma Dev says, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendentally related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the supersoul by controlling the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi, or trance, by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature, along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhishma Dev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the Maushala Lila at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishma Dev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishma Dev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishma Dev observed this with more relish than Arjuna. All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or the form obtained by one's own actions and awarded by material nature. The material forms of the conditioned souls are all foreign dresses, and when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of material energy, he attains his original form. The impersonalist wants to attain the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but that is not at all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcels of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material forms, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spiritual form like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotees of the Lord, either in the Vaikunthas or in the Goloka planet, according to the original nature of the soul. This form, which is 100% spiritual, is the Swarup of the living being, and all the living beings who participated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attained their Swarupa, as confirmed by Bhishma Dev. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandavas. He was also merciful to he was also merciful to the other parties, because all of them attained the same result. Bhishma Dev wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord, although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking at the personality of Godhead within or without attains his Swarup, which is the highest perfectional stage of life. So this is one of the meanings of Vidhu, which means that but the form of the Lord, the vision of the form of the Lord, bestows liberation upon the living being. And especially when leaving the body, if one is able to fix that form within one's heart and mind, or sees the form externally, then one attains liberation from the world by seeing the form of the Lord. So, this is also a subject of the Brahma Samhita, and the way in which the devotees see the personal form of the Lord constantly is described in the verse Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hriyeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tam Ham Bhajami. This description by Brahma says that when the devotees have prema, it's like he's describing it as a salve, and they put it in their eyes, then they see Shamasundara, the form of Krishna, always and everywhere. They see within their heart, and wherever they look, they're reminded by the forms of this world of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus they remember him constantly. So, in that way, devotees cannot forget Krishna even for a moment. And Prabhupada points out in the purport we just heard that this kind of meditation is therefore better than that of the yogi, who tries to mechanically see the form of the Lord. But when the love for Krishna is manifest within one's heart, then one naturally and spontaneously thinks of the form of the Lord. So, this is the proof given by Bhishma Dev that even demoniac persons who are not devotees, who see the beautiful form of the Lord in any of his features, or in any of his pastimes, for instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, attain liberation when they leave this world. Whoever dies looking at the Lord's form, either within or without, attains the perfection of life, says Srila Prabhupada in the purport. So, Vidhu also means one who surpasses all others. And this is confirmed in the third canto. The verse provided by Srila Jiva Goswami, 3.2.21. In this verse, we hear Swayam Twasam Yat atishayastradisha swaraja lakshmyapta samastakama balim harad bish chiralokapalai kirita kotyedita padapita. Lord Sri Krishna is the Lord of all kinds of threes and is independently supreme by achievement of all kinds of fortune. He is worshipped by all the eternal maintainers of the creation who offer him the paraphernalia of worship by touching their millions of helmets to his feet. Purport: Lord Sri Krishna is so mild and merciful, as described in the above verses, and yet he is the Lord of all kinds of threes. He is the Supreme Lord of the three worlds, the three qualities of material nature, and the three Purushas. Karnadakshay, Garbhadakshay, and Shirdakshay Vishnu. There are innumerable universes, and in each and every universe there are different manifestations of Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Besides that, there is the Sheshamurti, who bears all the universes on his hoods. And Lord Krishna is the Lord of all of them. As the incarnation of Manu, he is the original source of all Manus in innumerable universes. Each universe has manifestations of 504,000 Manus. He is the Lord of the three principal potencies, namely Chit Shakti, Maya Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. And he is the complete master of 6 kinds of fortune: wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. There is none who can excel him in any manner of enjoyment, and certainly there is no one greater than him. No one is equal to or greater than him. It is the duty of everyone, whoever and wherever one may be, to surrender completely unto him. It is not wonderful, therefore, that all transcendental controllers surrender to him and make all offerings of worship. This is a famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it proves another of the meanings of vidhu, and that is that Krishna surpasses all others. And so now, just reflect back to me the meaning of vidhu so far, as you've heard it. Go ahead, Sami Prash. Give us some of what you've heard so far. Vidhu.
Well, he transcends all others. He's greater than all others. Anyone else?
Okay, others over here.
We spoke a little bit about Olympians yesterday, so I had a thought of being in that high caliber of performance. You're always thinking to yourself, there's always going to be someone better than me at what I'm doing. There's always going to be a more devoted devotee. And when you have Krishna on your heart, it makes it very familiar that, or I guess very reassuring that Krishna is always going to be the ultimate. So you can try endlessly to improve yourself. And that there's a familiarity there that he will always be the most supreme. It's very comforting.
Yes. So another meaning of vidhu is one who surpasses all others in all qualities. Ananda?
Just in the last purport that you read, how he enjoys more than anybody. And there's always this competition to try and enjoy, but we're always being defeated by Krishna's enjoyment.
Yes.
You said that vidhu means one who destroys all suffering, as in vidunoti, and also vidadati, one who creates everything, the source of everything, is it?
Yeah. Over here. So we're thinking of Krishna's form, because Krishna and Krishna's form are the same, and his form possesses all these dazzling qualities that destroys all suffering, is greater than all of the greatest qualities emanate from him. Yes?
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say that all happiness comes from Krishna, as he is infallible.
Right. All happiness comes from him. He's the source of all happiness, the form of Krishna. Okay, so he destroys all suffering. He's the source of all happiness. He surpasses all others. And now onto the quality of Vidhu, that he bestows the greatest happiness on others. So in the 9th canto, Jiva Goswami quotes from 9:24-65. Yasyananam makara kundala charu karna. Doesn't it sound like a nice verse already?
Oh, yeah.
Brajat kapola subhagam savilasahasam nityosavam na tatripur drishibi pidantyo naryo narash cha mudita kupita nimeshcha. Krishna's face, he bestows all happiness. Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. His face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes. Purport. As stated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad-gita 7.3, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschan mam beti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Unless one is qualified to understand Krishna, one cannot appreciate the presence of Krishna on earth. Among the Bhojas, Vrishnis, and Antakas, Pandavas, and many other kings intimately related with Krishna, the intimate relationship between Krishna and the inhabitants of Vrindavan is especially to be noted. That relationship is described in this verse by the words Nityotsavam Tatripur Drishibi Pidantya. The inhabitants of Vrindavan especially, such as the cowherd boys, the cows, the calves, the gopis, and Krishna's father and mother, were never fully satisfied, although they saw Krishna's beautiful features constantly. Seeing Krishna is described here as a Nitya Utsava, a daily festival. The inhabitants of Vrindavan saw Krishna almost every moment, but when Krishna left the village for the pasturing grounds, where he tended the cows and calves, the gopis were very much afflicted because they saw Krishna walking on the sand and thought that Krishna's lotus feet, which they dared not place on their breasts, because they thought their breasts, not soft enough, were being pierced by broken chips of stone. By even thinking of this, the gopis were affected and they cried at home. These gopis, who were therefore the exalted friends of Krishna, saw Krishna constantly, but because their eyelids disturbed their vision of Krishna, the gopis condemned the Creator, Lord Brahma. Therefore, the beauty of Krishna, especially the beauty of his face, is described here. At the end of the 9th canto, in the 24th chapter, we find a hint of Krishna's beauty. Now we are proceeding to the 10th canto, which is considered Krishna's head. The entire Srimad Bhagavat Purana is the embodiment of Krishna's form, and the 10th canto is his face. With his cheeks, his lips, the ornaments in his ears, his chewing of betel nuts, all this was minutely observed by the gopis, who thus enjoyed transcendental bliss, so much so that they were never fully satisfied to see Krishna's face, but instead condemned the Creator of the body for making eyelids that obstructed their vision. The beauty of Krishna's face was therefore much more appreciated by the gopis than by his friends and the cowherd boys, or even by Yashoda Mata, who was also interested in decorating the face of Krishna. And then he quotes from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th verse, 29th chapter, and this is verse number 40. Kastrangate kalapadayata venugita samohitarya charitam nachalet trilokyam Trailokya saubhagam idam cha niriksharupam yet go dvijadrumamriga hulakan yapibran. Dear Krishna, what woman in all the three worlds wouldn't deviate from religious behavior when bewildered by the sweet, drawn-out melody of your flute? Your beauty makes all the three worlds auspicious. Indeed, even the cows, birds, trees, and deer manifest the ecstatic symptom of bodily hair standing on end when they see your beautiful form. And then again, he quotes from the 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 12th verse. Yamartya lilao payikam suyoga maya balam darshayata grahitam vismapanam swasya cha sao bhagardhe param padam bhushana bhushananam bhushananam bhushana bhushananam means the ornament of ornaments. When you put ornaments on Krishna, the ornaments become more beautiful because Krishna is more beautiful than the ornaments. So he's the ornament of the ornaments. Bhushana bhushananam. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in the form of the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, his, Sri Krishna's transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. Purport. In conformity with the Vedic hymns, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam, the personality of God, it is more excellent than all other living beings within all the universes in the material world. He is the chief of all living entities. No one can surpass him or be equal to him in wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, or renunciation. When Lord Krishna was within this universe, he seemed to be a human being because he appeared in a manner just suitable for his pastimes in the mortal world. He did not appear in human society in his Vaikuntha feature with 4 hands, because that would not have been suitable for his pastimes. But in spite of his appearing as a human being, no one was or is equal to him in any respect in any of the 6 different opulences. Everyone is more or less proud of his opulence in this world. But when Lord Krishna was in human society, he excelled all his contemporaries within the universe. When the Lord's pastimes are visible to the human eye, they are called prakat. And when they are not visible, they are called aprakat. In fact, the Lord's pastimes never stop, just as the sun never leaves the sky. The sun is always in its right orbit in the sky, but it is sometimes visible and sometimes invisible to our limited vision. Similarly, the pastimes of the Lord are always current in one universe or another. And when Lord Krishna disappeared from the transcendental abode of Dwarka, it was simply a disappearance from the eyes of the people there. It should not be misunderstood that his transcendental body, which is just suitable for the pastimes in the mortal world, is in any way inferior to his different expansions in the Vaikuntha Lokas. His body manifested in the material world is transcendental par excellence in the sense that his pastimes in the mortal world excel his mercy displayed in the Vaikuntha Lokas. In the Vaikuntha Lokas, the Lord is merciful toward the liberated or Nitya Mukta living entities, but in his pastimes in the mortal world, he is merciful even to the fallen souls who are Nitya Baddha, or conditioned forever. The 6 excellent opulences which he displayed in the mortal world by the agency of his internal potency, Yogamaya, are rare even in the Vaikuntha Lokas. All his pastimes were manifested not by the material energy, but by his spiritual energy. The excellence of his Rasa Leela at Vrindavan and his householder life with 16,000 wives is wonderful, even for Narayan in Vaikuntha, and is certainly so for other living entities within this mortal world. His pastimes are wonderful even for other incarnations of the Lord, such as Sri Ram, the Sringha, and Varaha. His opulence was so super excellent that his pastimes were adored even by the Lord of Vaikuntha, who is not different from Lord Krishna himself. So, then finally, from the first canto, the Lord is the source of all others. This is the final meaning of vidhu, perhaps not the final, but the one listed in the last position by Srila Jiva Goswami in 1.3.28. In this verse, Ete chamsha kala pumsa Krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam radayanti yuge yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Purport: in this particular stanza, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is distinguished from other incarnations. He is counted amongst the avatars, incarnations, because out of his causeless mercy the Lord descends from his transcendental abode. Avatar means one who descends. All the incarnations of the Lord, including the Lord himself, descend on the different planets of the material world, as also in different species of life, to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes he comes himself, and sometimes his different plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, or his differentiated portions directly or indirectly empowered by him, descend on this material world to execute certain specific functions. Originally, the Lord is full of all opulences, all prowess, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. When they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, it should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. When in the room small electric bulbs are displayed, it does not mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. For example, Lord Parashuram and Lord Nrsimha displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times and killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods and other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable raising of his eyebrow. The demigods in the higher level of material existence many, many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in this material world. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Nrsimha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of the Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamadagnya displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective states. The Lord's empowered incarnation Narada and plenary incarnation Varaha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, and created faith in the mass of people. The incarnations of Rama and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balaram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kumar, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Nara and Narayan Rishis exhibited his renunciation. So all the different incarnations of the Lord indirectly or directly manifested different features. But Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead. And thus, it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. And the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Lord Sri Krishna was his internal energetic manifestation of his pastimes with the cowherd girls. His pastimes with the gopis are all displays of transcendental existence, bliss, and knowledge, although these are manifested apparently as sex love. The specific attraction of his pastimes with the gopis should never be misunderstood. The Bhagavatam relates these transcendental pastimes in the 10th canto, And in order to reach the position to understand the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, the Bhagavatam promotes the student gradually in 9 other cantos. According to Srila Jiva Goswami's statement, in accordance with authoritative sources, Lord Krishna is the source of all other incarnations. It is not that Lord Krishna has any source of incarnation. All the symptoms of the Supreme Truth are full and present in the person of Lord Sri Krishna, and in the Bhagavad-gita the Lord emphatically declares that there is no truth greater than or equal to himself. In this stanza, the word Swayam is particularly mentioned to confirm the Lord Krishna has no other source than himself. Although in other places the incarnations are described as Bhagavan because of their specific functions, nowhere are they declared to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this stanza, the word Swayam signifies the supremacy as the Summum Bonum. The Summum Bonum, Krishna, is one without a second. He himself has expanded himself in various parts, portions, and particles as Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakash, Tadikatma, Prabhava, Vaibhava, Vilas, Avatar, Avesha, and Jivas, all provided with innumerable energies just suitable to the respective persons and personalities. Learned scholars and transcendental subjects have carefully analyzed the Summum Bonum, Krishna, to have 64 principal attributes. All the expansions or categories of the Lord possess only some percentage of these attributes, but Sri Krishna is the possessor of the attributes cent%. And his personal expansions such as Swayam Prakash and Tadikatma, up to the categories of the avatars, who are all Vishnu Tattva, possess up to 93% of these transcendental attributes. Lord Shiva, who is neither avatar nor avesh, nor in between, possesses almost 84% of the attributes. But the jivas, or the individual living beings in different statuses of life, possess up to the limit of 78% of the attributes. In the conditioned state of material existence, the living being possesses these attributes in very minute quantity, varying in terms of the pious life of the living being. The most perfect of living beings is Brahma, the supreme administrator of the universe. He possesses 78% of the attributes in full. All other demigods have the same attributes in less quantity, whereas human beings possess the attributes in very minute quantity. The standard of perfection for a human being is to develop the attributes up to 78% in full. The living being can never possess attributes like Shiva, Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. A living being can become godly by developing the 78% transcendental attributes in fullness, but he can never become a god like Shiva, Vishnu, or Krishna. He can become a Brahma in due course. The godly living beings, who are all residents of the planets of the spiritual sky, are eternal associates of God in different spiritual planets called Hari Dham and Mahesh Dham. The abode of Lord Krishna above all spiritual planets is called Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. And the perfected living being, by developing 78% of the above attributes in fullness, can enter the planet of Krishna Loka after leaving the present material body. I rest my case. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the great acharyas who followed after him taught us the method of attaining perfection in life, and that is to worship Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your life and soul. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and take instruction from Krishna. And become a devotee of Krishna. And meditate on his personal form, chant his name, and you'll be in touch with the original source of all beauty, the one who has all qualities, and the source of everything, and who's all powerful and all merciful. And then you'll always be happy. And incidentally, in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is a description by Lord Krishna to Uddhava about attaining mystic powers. And the way it's done is by focusing one's mind on a particular element or entity within the world. And then one actually begins to merge with those qualities, and one then attains superhuman abilities by becoming totally fixed on those qualities. But there it's recommended that one should simply meditate on the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And incidentally, when one does that, then one's activities in life are never defeated, and one becomes perfect in all respects by just keeping that personal form of the Lord within one's mind. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that one can do this practically by continuing to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So y'all are on the right track. Just keep going. Hare Krishna. Any comments or reflections? Yes.
For those online, you can text in questions to 720-231-6302, 720-231-6302. I wanted to reflect that I really like how Jiva Goswami establishes tattva so convincingly. Is the same thing that Rupa Goswami did in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and Prabhupada's doing in all the purports you write. It's just that proving how Krishna is the source of everything, he's a giver of all happiness, he's transcendental to Narayan, he's eternal, he's the source of all, qualities. So it's like you just can't run from the conclusion, and it's supported on all sides. I like that thoroughness. It's very reassuring.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for that comment.
This has brought up a lot of awareness for me about my underestimation of Krishna's form. That it just kind of brought to my attention how I can somewhat materialize Krishna's form, or at least conceptually. I bring it within my conception, or bring him within my conception. Then it reminded me of, I forget if it was the end of first canto or beginning of second canto, but Prabhupada in a purport gave this analogy about the sun, that the sun throughout the entire day is always shining, but according to where we see it in the sky, we feel a different level of heat coming from it. But the sun's not actually changing in heat and intensity, it's just my appreciation and my location of it. So I was appreciating that by hearing these descriptions of how Krishna is vidhunoti, that the heat and the intensity of his form is shining brighter in my heart, but also realizing that I'm underestimating it.
Thank you. Nice.
I just had a small question from the beginning of the purport in the verse today. It was mentioned that Shukadeva Goswami composed that verse for the solace of the devotees that don't have the association of Krishna directly now that his pastimes have ended, something along those lines. How is it that Shukadeva Goswami is said to have composed that verse when it's also said that he just is repeating verbatim what he heard from Vyasadeva, verse word for word, the whole entire Bhagavatam?
Well, it's an eternal pastime. Shukadeva reciting that, the Bhagavatam as well. And there are ways in which incarnations of the Lord come into this world, apparently through they manifest through the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, but that doesn't mean that he's their origin. It means that that's the doorway through which they enter into the material universe. Yes.
I have a confession that last night when you spoke about us turning the switch off and becoming robots, that there was a internal aversion to that, a reaction, and then hearing all this, then I felt, oh, I can do that. It's like convincing.
You can do what?
I can be a robot to that person.
I think some of the confusion was because I was sort of going through in an outline form and mentioning sort of the greatest hits. And I really didn't expand on that, and it was a little bit out of context. So what I meant to say was not literal about becoming a non-feeling human being, but what I meant to say by switching off one's human emotions was just that there's a way in which Krishna describes in the Bhagavad-gita how my misconception of myself as the body causes all kinds of problems and trouble, and especially my conception that I'm the doer is the cause of my suffering in the material world. And that example is meant to indicate that we're not very far away from realigning ourselves with our natural position as Krishna's parts and parcels, not our body, and as his instruments. And that practically speaking, if one readjusts one's vision, and one might be able to do that in an instant. That's the symbolism of flipping the switch. And however, the way I spoke about it last night, especially if it was isolated, could be seen to be like an idea that we should be mindless in our devotional service or something like that. But far from it. Actually, when one devotes oneself as an instrument of Krishna, one feels the power of Krishna coming through one, as Arjuna did on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he noticed afterwards, after Krishna had left the planet, that he had lost his powers until he began thinking of Krishna again. And it indicates in that pastime that although he was feeling powerless to protect some of the queens, that then when he began to think of Bhagavad-gita again, think, oh, I'm the instrument, then again his power came back. So in that way I was comparing the flipping of the switch up and down. Didn't mean to make it sound too simplistic, although it was last night when I just listed it and sort of glibly moved on by saying that it solves all problems. There were a lot more explanation was needed, but because I was going through a list, I just sort of moved on. I also use that in Sankirtan seminars to help devotees who are hesitant to walk out the door, to go into the great unknown, and to distribute books. And it's remarkable how, if you just become aware of the fact that the cares and anxieties that one has for doing that, it can be overcome simply by shifting one's consciousness back into the consciousness of I'm an instrument. It's always reminded me of flipping a switch, because even when I'm in the midst of Sankirtan and all of a sudden I'm feeling some anxiety, or I'm thinking that how am I going to do this, by flipping the switch and saying I'm not going to do it, Krishna is going to do it through me, and if he wishes, and if he doesn't wish, it's not up to me anyway. And therefore, I surrender my will to him and say, you use me as you wish, and whatever the result is, it's up to you. So that's more of an unpacking of what I meant by flipping the switch in the brain, and thank you for bringing it up again.
I think what you just ended on, like surrendering to him, I'm finding
Hold that right close.
It's easier to surrender to him when we know about him.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. He's worthy to be taken shelter of. Yes, Tushya Prabhu.
Just a reflection. I appreciated all the references you made regarding Krishna's form, the reality of Krishna's form. It reminded me of just appreciating Prabhupada's commentary in Narottam Das Thakur's song, where he says, Narottama Bodha Duki Nitai Mora Korasuki Rakoranga Charanara Pasha. And it's Narottam Das Thakur is speaking how he's unhappy, but by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, he's become happy, and he prays to be kept the corner of his reddish lotus feet. And in the commentary, I believe Srila Prabhupada says, one may think these feet are false, but Narottam Das Thakur strongly defines that they are reality. And with all these references you were giving, just appreciating how Srila Prabhupada would regularly emphasize how the holy name is it's not just a representation of Krishna. Sometimes someone might say, oh, this Krishna's name is representing him, and he would be very defined that actually Krishna's Namachintamani Krishna, it's not different than Krishna, or the deity form is not just a representation. Some people may say, oh, the deity is representing Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada would be very emphatic, saying actually the deity form is not different than Krishna. So these acharyas, how their faith and realization of just the darshan of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, when he says they're like millions of moons, it's not just figurative, but it's full reality. They're not just exaggerating. Although when you hear it, you might think, oh yeah, millions of moons kind of representing some special mercy. But for the followers and for the devotees to have that, to aspire to cultivate that faith that they're giving us this direct association with Krishna through the name, through the Archa Vigraha. So anyways, thanks for all this.
Speaking of Vigraha, and the Acharyas presenting these points, while you were speaking, it reminded me of Narada Muni's teachings to Vyasadeva in the first canto, 5th chapter, where he says, Iti murtyabidanena mantra murtim amurtikam yajite yagya purusham sasamyag darshanam puman. And that is that he says one can have the full vision, can see the full vision of the Lord's form, the one that we're speaking about now, through the mantra. Iti murtyabidanena mantra murtim amurtikam. And then he uses these two words, murti and amurtikam. So they have two meanings. One, murti means form, and it also means difficulty. So here, Prabhupada points out, the way he's using this, that it's very difficult to see the Lord's form. But by the mantra, it's amurtikam. It's not difficult to see the Lord's form. And he goes on to say that one can have the full darshan of the Lord by the mantra itself. There's no lacking whatsoever. So, following the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nam Nam Akari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shaktis, one can devote oneself fully to the Mahamantra and focus on chanting and hearing the Mahamantra, and then can have this darshan directly of Krishna's form, his face, his lotus feet, and so on. So it's a highly recommended activity. And I think the result of hearing that Krishna is the object of all, he's the reservoir of pleasure, it attracts the mind. One has to hear repeatedly about the source of all happiness and for the mind to be attracted. Otherwise, all around us, we have other suggestions. For instance, Coca-Cola has a campaign in which they say, pour out happiness. And there's a bottle of Coke. And it looks kind of tasty from the sign. And little bubbles coming up. And I think happiness. And suddenly, there's a way in which one might think, oh, happiness. And then they relate various images to the Coca-Cola logo. And you think, oh, Americanism and running on the beach, drinking a Coca-Cola, being free spirit. This is happiness. But this diverts the mind from the actual form of real happiness, which is Krishna, which is attained by chanting Hare Krishna. So don't drink Coke.
When you spoke about just now about how seeing the Lord was hearing his voice, like in Narada Muni's case, there was another instance when we were in Govardhan. There was a Bhagavatam class in the 7th canto where the demigods are praying to Vishnu because Hiranyakashipu is terrorizing the universe, and then the voice of the Lord says, basically appears, and in the Sanskrit it says Mad Darshanam, the seeing of me, but Prabhupada translates it that because it was just his voice. And so the whole purport is about, I don't know if we have time to read it, but it was very relevant to that point, about how hearing and chanting and praying, offering prayers to the Lord is the same as seeing him, his form.
Right. You hear his voice and the instructions, even the ones that we have available to us through the Bhagavad-gita and so forth, give us that direct contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rupa Goswami mentions in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita the importance of reading Bhagavad-gita. It's because it's spoken from the lotus mouth of the Lord. You can be in direct touch. Anything else? So we thank everyone for coming together for the continual and repeated hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Remembering Krishna gives benefit to everybody, and then distributing that form to people all over the world, as Prabhupada was so eager to do. Even when he produced the Krishna book, he was insistent on the first volume of Krishna book having 52 color plates with pictures of Krishna, so people could actually see the form of the Lord, because he knew that only by coming in contact with the form and the information describing his pastimes could people of the world overcome their great problems and be happy in life. So we're very fortunate because we have those directly available to us. We should take full advantage, and we should distribute them to as many people as possible so that they can catch up this mood of the acharyas and fix our minds on Krishna. Go Premanande, Nitai Gauda Haribo, 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo, Nitai Gauda Haribo, Bo, Haribo, Nitai Gauda Haribo. Vanchakalpadrushcha Kripasandabeva Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And we'd like to thank the NBA choir for their participation this morning.
His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.